Good morning, people. Before I start to show you my new table saw table or table saw workbench, I want to show you my upgraded table saw, which I used until now. For this upgrade, I used an old hand drill motor with some self-made gear parts and a chain from a bicycle and some threaded rods. In the video you can see barely the hand drill where I extended the cables for the hand switch and the direction switch. The biggest problem was that the chains are always jumping out of the gear parts and it was not really fast to change the position of the fence, and it was also very loud to use it. We all know that wood got really expensive these days, which is the reason why I used old wood from a roof for this project. Luckily, I stored a lot of the wood in our backyard because of a big renovation of our house 2 years ago. My wife told me to throw the wood away, but now I'm really happy that I did not listen to her. The first step was to clean the wood from some old nails and some old iron attachments. After the cleaning, the wood was ready to cut into the right size. The pieces had a dimension from about 5 by 5 centimeters. After I cut all pieces for the frame of the table, I used my jointer to get a perfect 90-degree angle on the edges. I was wondering why there are so many sawdusties flying around, and then I recognized that I just forgot to turn on the dust collection. Of course, after using the jointer I used also the planer, but I don't show it in the video because I think it's boring. For the frame I tried some basic joints. They turned out pretty well, but I'm definitely far away from a professional woodworker. I'm just learning by doing, and I have a lot of fun doing that stuff in my free time. And so also I thought I could do some videos maybe for my children to watch me later, so they know what I was doing all the time in the workshop. And so that's basically it. I used a chisel to clean the joints. Now let's go to the next big step: gluing up all pieces together. The glue was nothing special, just basic waterproofed wood glue. And to hold everything tight together, I used some old clamps from my father's days. And with the angle I tried to adjust a perfect 90-degree angle. For the top, I had sadly not enough clamps to just glue it together, so I had to use some screws. Yeah, mistakes happens. Here I recognized that one of the pieces had the wrong joint on the top, so I had to change it. I just cut the joint off. I just glued the piece, the leftover piece, to place. I know it's not a really nice way to work, but at that point it was not really necessary to have a joint there. It was just to do the joints, it was just for learning purposes. And the next small step was to prepare some wooden shelves for a board. The board is for later for the table saw. And if you can see here, if something isn't really running smoothly, just use silicone spray. So it was time to glue the wooden shelves together to one big wooden board. This was the perfect time to try my self-made clamps, which were made from some old leftover garden pillars. I also screwed some wooden posts for supporting purposes on the board. Then it was time to screw the base plate for the table saw in position. After that, it was finally time for the tabletop. For the top I used some USB boards and not plywood, because plywood is much more expensive than USB, and the USB boards will do the job as good as plywood. Afterwards, the tabletop was screwed onto the frame. As you might notice, the tabletop does not fit exactly onto the frame. The reason for this is that I wanted to use solid spruce for the edges, because USB is very rough after cutting. Next, the pine stripes were glued to the edge of the table with wood glue. An old wood plane was used to get the molding flat with the tabletop. As you can see, the slats were not exactly cut to the required width. Here I used a bit of CA glue and activator spray to fix a broken piece. Kids, always be careful when you play with super glue. In the last step, the frame and the tabletop were sanded with 180 grit. In the next video, my table saw will be included in this workbench. Feel free to leave me a like and a subscribe. Thanks for watching.